Good morning. Welcome to AI and the Human Connection. Today, we're hosting Dr. Steve Wong from Houston Methodist Hospital. We'll talk about his experience with AI and the work that he does. Dr. Wong, very happy to have you here. Thank you for accepting our invitation. So, we'll go ahead and start. Why don't you tell a little bit about yourself? You have a very diverse background in computer science, bioengineering, systems biology, and the healthcare industry. So how has your multidisciplinary perspectives shaped your view on the role of AI in healthcare?
Oh, Ali, thank you very much for the invitations. So I'm basically an engineer turned into a biologist. You can think about this way. I started my career. I'm an electrical engineer and computer scientist. And in fact, my PhD is in AI, but I did a lot of work for Bell Labs and Hewlett Packard doing the semiconductor wafer automations. And today, nowadays, people semiconductor chips, that's what I used to do in the early days.
Yes.
And then I move on to work on UCSF. I contributed one of the first PAC system, picture archiving communication system, for the country, and then they're changing the digital radiology, how radiology practice. And after that, I had the product development for Philips for quite a number of years, even building electronic medical record, any clinical information system and imaging system products. And after that, I was a stopover during the .com time, build the first website for Charles Schwab. And after that, I decided after the .com, I decided go back to think about what I want to do second half in my life. I decided I find medicine is still my first love. I came back and be a professor at Harvard. And I started a bioinformatics center for neurodegeneration and medical school, and also created their functional molecular imaging center, which including cyclotron, all these things at Brigham Women's Hospital. And when Methodist and Baylor split about 18 years ago, I'm the first batch of scientists they hired from Boston. And ever since I stay here, I did many roles at Methodist. Over the years, I love this place. I think it's good place that will give me a lot of freedom and to work on many things. I was a vice chair for radiology. I was the chief research information officer, chair of medical physics. But most of my time, I consider myself, I work as a scientist. Right now, I'm in fact, I'm a system scientist, I call it. We combined, because of my perspective, I look at the era of medicine. Right now, the whole healthcare is under transformation in many areas, not just financial side, but in the science side also. With the genomics, and also digital measurements of healthcare, all these coming in really will changing how we practice medicine in the near future, not just distant future. And of course, there have been also changing how CMS or medicine get paid eventually. But end of the day, we are here to improve patient care and improve the lifespan, in fact, the health span, I call it, of the patients. We want to live longer and healthy. And right now, we are not just doing, of course, we're improving the detection, diagnosis, and surgery, treatment, all these things. But I think the new healthcare, the new era, with this big data, interesting data, multi-omic data, and digital measurement of digital health, we may have a chance really make the hospital really without wall. And the service outside hospital, not acute situation, is sick, come to here. We want to do a prevention, people to do prevention, even able to do the chronic disease management. Many diseases become chronic. Cancer actually become a chronic disease, as you know, that the country, I think, probably not quite ready, a whole bunch of we got silver tsunami of the cancer patient when they're getting old. And this is another issue. That's so the whole idea is the digital era, the AI, the big data have a significant play in this area.
So thank you for that introduction. So you talk about something interesting. You talk about not improving health, but actually improving life, making our lives
Yes.
more, healthier and longer. So based on this vast experience you have, where do you see the artificial intelligence would be making the most significant impact on healthcare within the next 5, 10 years? You talk about preventive medicine. So where do you think the biggest effect is going to be?
I think first of all, I'd like to define AI first, because right now AI is when people talk about AI today, they they talk about the latest thing exciting people, like deep learning,
Mm-hmm.
foundation model, generative AI, all these buzzwords.
Mm-hmm.
Those are what got people excited. And I think I went through, I see through the two nuclear winters of AI. And this is every time at the same excitement at the first two times. At this time the same. And if you look at the stock market, you can tell, right? All the AI company, all the big data company suddenly occupy the big seven, or occupy changing the whole. I mean, there people believe in it. I
Yeah.
believe it will be significantly. And the AI is already here. My point is not future.
Mm-hmm.
FDA has approved over 750 AI related medical products
That's
already.
a lot of patents, yeah.
It's already there. It's already whether they got reimbursement, different story. FDA approval doesn't mean guarantee CMS reimbursement, but a lot of AI is already embedded inside the medical service product. Notable is in the radiology, and radiology have of course, it makes sense, right? The analysis data.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, the next one will be the cardiology, also very big. It's about 15% of product is in cardiology. Those signal things, those are all these there. So a lot of AI is already there, but the AI I'm talking about here is most AI, I call it the piecemeal AI. They automate, basically they do automations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have been doing that for ages, for decades, but now we have a more accurate way to doing it, better automations, but they still piecemeal.
Mm-hmm.
In healthcare, we should think about, at least from the hospital perspective, when the patient coming in, we want a healthy patient going out.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not only to automate individual pain point. We look at the whole workflow, and the next level of AI. Right now, we have brought a lot of individual spot improvement in AI in healthcare process.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stick to the hospital, easier to mention, but we can talk about later the vision for future for the whole lifespan. In the hospital sense, hospital is already very automated, 99% automated electronic. Now AI adding more power into it.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, most of them are piecemeal automations.
Mm-hmm.
That means that they only look at a certain area automation.
Okay.
No one had looked at the enterprise level, at the clinical workflow, total workflow area. Sometimes, as you know, the process, if you automate certain process,
Yeah.
that may be optimized, but you push the inefficiency into other process, and now end up is the whole process not very good. So next level AI, I think it will be the enterprise-wide AI, or at least a process-wide AI.
Mm-hmm.
People look at this angle to be effective. Otherwise, we are not, right now is a lot of toys, and how this toy be really making impact, we don't know yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you talk about cardiology and radiology, and among other fields of the healthcare. So what do you think what would be the key skills that healthcare workers will need to develop to thrive in this AI-driven in the future in the healthcare field? What kind of skills, key skills, is going to be important?
That will be definitely a lot of AI tools. A lot of AI tools actually is embedded. So healthcare area, you talk about there are a couple, it's very broad range, right? You have administrator, physician, specialist, nurses, technician, down to janitor. All these are wide ranged. So it's very hard for me to make a conclusion remark. But one thing for sure, if we do it well, the AI should optimize, make the process more efficient.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The whole idea is make more accurate and reduce physician time. For example, one area you can make an impact is really a very boring data entry, very boring reporting, very boring dictation. You will be surprised. A lot of physicians spend a lot of time doing this mundane routine work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Time they should be deal with. AI should help them to free them off so they can see more, spend more time on the bedside to talk to the patients. I think that's more important. Nowadays, because of electronic medical record, policy, regulation, all kind of things, I think if you ask a lot of physicians, they spend quite a chunk of their time doing these things.
Yes, yes.
I think AI can first automate that process accurately.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds mundane, but it's very important. And also for administrative point of view, this is a cost incentive. We spend about $300 billion every year in administration, hospital administration.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are just data entry.
Yes.
And you can automate that part, you save cost, and also free the physician, see the patient. Remember, end of the day, we are dealing not robots, we're dealing human being.
Mm-hmm.
So physician-patient relationship for me is absolutely important in healthcare. In missing that part, we are not a factory. We are not some sort of manufacturing. We're dealing with a like human being, have emotion, have stress, have needs, and you need another human being they can trust and talk to.
Mm-hmm.
So AI will be removing mundane work of their time, so free the physician, more time helping the patients.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very important. That's I think the immediate part of it. Second part is a lot of back office work can be automated out.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, you like it, don't like it, I foresee there's reduction of workforces.
Mm-hmm.
It's automations. To be fair, I mean, it's just we know that it's just right now, for example, I just give example. We probably every hospital easily have hundred people just try to figure out the insurance billing. It's a right billing, all kind of thing.
Yes.
That part can be automated out by AI.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you don't need those people. Doesn't mean that those people lost jobs. They just don't need those inefficient jobs. You can retrain these people for something else. So it will automate out some of the labor intensive but not very efficient jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of them right now in healthcare.
Yeah.
It's another echo. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for first of all highlighting that dimension of empathy and compassion of healthcare. So I see that you see AI mostly helping with the automation so that the physicians and other healthcare professionals actually dedicate more time with patients and then provide a more compassionate, more empathetic care to them. That's very important. I think there's a big concern how this AI is going to and that's my channel is about how this implementation of AI is going to affect our understanding of life, the universe, connection. So I see that you see it from the positive perspective that this AI actually can save a lot of time for physicians, that they can provide more time, which might help actually patients to feel, cared for better and with more compassion and empathy.
Yes, correct. I think end of the day, remember the philosophically, I don't think the AI here, the AI we're dealing with also is very fascinating. It's not really at a human intelligence level,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right? It's in fact, there's a many philosophical issue. I don't want to go into argument, but it definitely is really a next level automations.
Yes. Yes. And you also I kind of heard when you talk about this like reskilling. The concern for a lot of people during these times about AI is that a lot of people think that it is going to cause them lose their jobs. And the counter argument to that is it is going to de-skill you in some ways, but then it is also going to re-skill you in other areas. So where do you stand with that? Do you think it's going to really affect this losing jobs for a lot of people, or what do you think about that?
This is a big question. So I think I don't have an answer. I think ever since the Industrial Revolution, we already seen people argue all the time, and in the past indicated, turn out to be O4 is a good thing, although with a short-term pain. And whether this time is still true, we don't know yet. A lot of people still arguing about it. But one thing I'm a scientist. I tend to be more critical training, so I'm not a positive person in that sense. Although you say I'm optimist, it's too early to make a conclusion whether the AI today really works. In a sense, it's not intelligent. It's really automation. We use massive amount of data, and super computer power to come out something that human cannot do any cannot achieve by ourselves using normal time, right? So you look at the ChatGPT, for me, it's just a super Google search. It is. I mean, just for me, it's saving, and it have no bearing to truth or not truth. They have no mind on its own, but it come out something that surprisingly makes sense to us. That make it very fascinating. That's what happened. I think it's still early. I think end of day, just like in medicine, we rely on validation. So a careful validation, clinical trial is necessary. There's a lot of people talk about clear box, black box, white box, whatever you call it. End of day is basically people don't know how AI works, so a lot of users feel insecure using it. But I don't think this is a really major issue. A lot of people using MRI scan read the MRI image. I don't think many people understand how MRI, which construct the image, acquire the image. But they look at the final result. We're using every day to diagnose patients, to track the monitoring the patient progress, right? So because we do that, because for years of clinical trial, years of clinical data to indicate consistency. I think eventually all the AI, no matter how good they are, validations. Right now it's a nice wild west. All the administrators jump on the bandwagon, AI here and AI there. It's fine in the back office, you do whatever. Worst case, you lose some money in the financial data. But when you're doing patient care, be very careful, be very respectful. Just do a clinical trial carefully. Make sure that it's consistent. And I'm sure some of them will be. If some of these products being proven valuable, the next thing that come up a next level requirement for the hospital IT and administration. The reason I mentioned is the AI model will shift. We call it shift. Means that if you do the clinical trial, it works for this set of patients for this time of year. But sometimes over time, just like in the drugs in other procedure, our drug will change, our treatment protocol change, our patient demographic change, all kind of change. Whatever you've done in AI product test before, the model may not work. Dispatched. So I would suggest the hospital IT have regular SOP to validate their AI product, at least, if not half year, at least annually. Make sure the product still the same as what they claim for their patient populations. This is very important. Otherwise, nowadays, the AI hype is so much, we blindly believe in the AI algorithm sometimes overly. We need to be careful. It can have a devastating effect if we don't blindly believe on that. So as I mentioned, you need some sort of checking point. Your clinical trial, your validation, SOP regulations, checking the performance, all this has to be in place. This additional procedure for the hospital, of course, but there's a part of the technology.
I see that. Yeah. So you recommend that those systems need to be checked regularly to see it is doing what it claims to do, as you said. And so in that, I also want to bring the dimension of the ethical considerations. You said, the AI is giving us the answers that make so much sense that we kind of almost feel that I'm talking to a like a sentient conscious being, right? But then there are also the risks as we train these models, as we are human beings, as biased. So the models that we train, these algorithms are also biased. So what are your perspectives about the bias in AI or other ethical considerations that we should be aware of when implementing AI in healthcare?
I don't think you can get rid of bias. Even for human beings, we have bias.
Mm-hmm.
We are biased by our cultural background, by our education, by our specialty, by our knowledge. So either way, we are biased. That's the reason we need to establish standard. In healthcare particularly, we have a whole bunch of standard. So one thing about America, compared to many developing countries, is we go to many hospitals. If you say you have stroke, I don't know, just pick an example. The care of the stroke, the detection of stroke, more or less is standard protocol.
Mm-hmm.
It's uniform. So you kind of repeat it. You don't go to somewhere in Texas and then you go to somewhere in Iowa. It's vastly different. So we have this standardization of the minimum requirement. Everybody follow a same protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there are some additional thing, some experience about that. But anyway, the denominator is the same. So the bias or not bias always exists even for human. So a machine always is biased.
Mm-hmm.
Because you learn for human. It's the same thing. We are the one who input data.
Yes.
Okay. So we just need to know the trade-off point. That's the reason clinical trials is important. It's a cost benefit and also some of the ethical benefit. We need to make eventually end of the day, AI don't make decision. We human being or FDA government they can make decision. We know there's a bias. We know there's some inefficacy. Even the drug trial, I give example, not drug 100% cure. They still approve it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of some kind of benefit analysis. They decide it's good for human use. I think it will go through the same process, biased or not biased. I can guarantee all AI systems are biased.
Yes, yes. Yeah, there's no, as you said, there's no escape from it because as human beings, we are biased. So these models, that algorithms that we create are going to be biased. And I know there are tools that we try to kind of, balance that bias, but I think it's going to be there always, as you said. Yeah. And my one question, I know you do a lot of research on cancer and neurodegeneration. So do you have any exciting breakthroughs or promising avenues that you're currently exploring in these fields using AI? If you're using AI in this cancer and neurodegeneration research, any exciting news? I work with cancer patients. I've been working with cancer patients for almost 8 years now as their chaplain. So I wonder if you have, if you could talk about that too.
Oh yeah, I think if you talk about that I think cancer is the right area. Frankly, you asked me. That I think how cancer will be practiced will be different 10 years from now because of AI and big data. Although our regulation is kind of, the law is behind it, the reimbursement behind it, but benefit of patient is seeing. Nowadays, there are three things really think about in this era, really changing the whole, transforming the healthcare. I mean, in terms of science, genomic. Now we can get a whole bunch of genomic machine, all detail, right? Sequencing down detail, your DNA sequencing, RNA sequence, single cell even, metabolomic, proteomic, all kind of machines you can generate. It was genomic information. We are also phenomes, the phenotypeomics. And this is about not just epigenetics. It's also about the social behavior data, the geodata. All this data also in there, the phenotype. And this is beyond just outcomes. All these are huge phenotype data also there. And the other thing is happening, you can see a lot of internet device, a lot of sensor, all kind of imagination sensor. You can think about monitor us almost anytime, 24 hours, at very low cost, by the way, because just tag on it, the Apple phone, for example, or something. And your eyeball, your arm movement, you're thinking. So all these things, common point is they're all digital. And second thing, they generate tons of data. That's beyond human interpretation. no physician can understand all this data. They need something to integrate them, interpret, fuse them together in a form that human can understand. And that's what the AI comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So you ask me, cancer particularly, because cancer, cancer is, people afraid of cancer because cancer can be very acute and very deadly. And cancer, one advantage, we take tissue out. We do biopsy. The brain is difficult. No one will volunteer. Alzheimer's patient volunteer a tissue for you to biopsy. Cancer, we take a lot of tissues out. And the tissue can generate a lot of omics data that can rich information, multi-scale, multi-modality genomic data. Integrate with the phenomic data and your digital measurement. I can tell you, it's not just changing how we doing so-called, the buzzword is called precision medicine, how you can pinpoint these particular patients, but actually maybe it can help us do prevention before the cancer occur. Right now, the way the healthcare works is when you say come to hospital, we cure you.
Yeah.
And a lot of improvement is we do it at improving, we're using AI to improve the diagnosis, the treatment, to focus the area. But a lot of disease, as you know, sometimes when it occur, it's too late for us to do anything. But now we have all this data of the patients. In fact, we can actually do some predictions and prevention. And that is what exciting area. Now, unfortunately, the country, the reimbursement system is set up in a way we still come to acute care, charge you all these things. People don't get paid by doing prevention. In fact, it's this financial alignment is not there, right? But eventually, I can see the law had to catch up. The science ability to do that, but the law cannot catch up. That's the reason very hard for the science to implement, to transform the healthcare. There's a dilemma, it's sooner or later. So, but what you ask me AI can do is all these genomic, phenomic, digital health data, it requires a lot of people and can do not just improve the existing hospital care. It's beyond that. It also can prevent that and actually give us a better healthcare, better. For example, if I pick up something, your particular successful genes, right? For example, and then I can tell you, next time you come along and say you may be careful, maybe do some treatment, can avoid this from occurring. And sometimes people come from heart disease, heart attack, or they stress or something. And I will do a study. We may find out you have a potential of other cancer affiliated comorbidity of that disease. Right now, we do it isolated because we don't know how to link the data together. But the data is already there. Now need someone to smartly link them together such that we can have a total care. We cure a patient, we don't cure an organ, right? A patient come in, as I say, heart disease, they have made some cancer comorbidity. Likewise, the Alzheimer's patients, maybe they have some other issue of diabetes. All these we are not quite related, but all the data is there. Some engine at the back should be able to tell the physician, watch out for this, planning for this, and that will change our healthcare. But really, overall, the lifespan of the patient will be healthier because we do prevention before it occurs instead of when the problem occurs, we try to fix it.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much for highlighting that, because as you say, now the treatment is all about once you get sick, then the system kicks in, so to speak. And so I see that you're saying that probably one of the biggest contributions of use of AI in healthcare is going to be in preventive, predicting and preventive healthcare. But you also highlighted this, the financial aspect of it and the law aspect of it. So there are challenges that are beyond our control as the healthcare system, that those things need to also align with this. As you say, if the hospitals are not getting paid for preventive care, there's going to be a challenge for them. And for that, probably, as you said, the legislation, must pass. And the second thing you highlight is also very important. I think one of the biggest challenges of data in healthcare is the fact that it is a very fragmented data, right? A person goes to a clinic, they have a data there, and then goes to a hospital admission, other, data is there, but they are not always, actually, most of the time, they are not connected. So you're also highlighting the importance of linking this data for better outcomes and for better preventive care.
That's right. I think you capture it very well. And one more other thing I think is also important is in medicine, we rely on standard protocol and score, something like that, scale or score, whatever, certain standard. Like, for example, say like mammogram screening, radiology, we have this BIRAD standard, breast imaging radiology standard, and rank accordingly and do certain procedure. My point is, in the past, to establish those scores, you take a huge effort, decades of clinical trials to become a standard.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, AI may change it. In a sense that we may another way to revisit the data to modify the score. As I mentioned earlier on, model shift, AI model shift.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, this score model may shift. Whatever we identified, the standard many years ago may not work today. I give an example. One of the things is about many years ago, 30 years ago, I did a study at UCSF. It's measure the development of a kid. So basically, many years ago in 1930s, someone in Midwest, they did a X-ray, look at phalanges, measurement, and from that they can measure this skeleton, the kid skeleton movement, growth, development is normal or not normal.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been using that for ages, even today. But the grant we were in at that time is, we tell them that's wrong. The reason is, in the 30s, remember Midwest, basically is predominantly Caucasian populations, right? And now you come to even Houston, we are one of the most diversity.
Yes.
I don't think that standard work for us, right? So you need to speed it up, right? In the past, it take a long time, take the image, collect the data, analyze the data, but AI can speed up the whole process. And some of them even can revisit the old data and reanalyzing it. Now you got even raw data together. Right now, the one thing about Obamacare or Obama in the past, he make electronic medical record as a maintain for the hospital. And with the imaging side, with the PACS, we have a lot of raw data. The raw data is uninterpreted, but this data can be put together, analyzed under AI algorithm. We may improve our current index. We're not replacing it, but give it additional information. This is a general index for 930, but for Houston, which may be different.
Yes.
We're slightly different, and we can analyze a little bit, modify a little bit for our own population. I think that those are the area that AI can really improve. The healthcare, a lot of unnecessary procedure, in fact, hurtful to the patients, are done this way. I think we should avoid. I think it's well known we have a lot over biopsy, over screening issue. On the benefit of we in order to not missing 1 or 2%, and probably 1,000 patients need to suffer the procedure. Now it's also a questionable, but all these are just philosophic argument. But AI will give you a qualitative data, and then the decision maker can look at this data, say what makes sense to the healthcare system, right? It's a complicated economic issue and also an ethical issue. But until we have a data in front of us, it's very hard for us to make a rational decision country-wise. And the AI can make this data collection and analyze much faster than the traditional way to collect data, analyze. That will expand AI, make the process very cost-effective and efficient.
Which again gives our healthcare system more accurate decisions, avoid unnecessary procedures, and also again at the end of the day gives our physicians and everybody who's involved in healthcare more time with the patients than other mundane or redundant activities. Dr. Wong, thank you so much. These are all great points. We thank you so much for your time. And I really would like us to kind of finish with the tone that you started with, this AI's role of, improving life, not health only, but improving our lives. So as a scientist, as you said, you're more critical, but I also heard a lot of positive things, also for our, cancer patients. So it seems that there's a great potential that if we're able to put every procedure in place and regulations and laws, and I think it's going to be a teamwork. It's going to be a work of everyone. But I see that positive, optimist tone in your presentation.
Yeah, I'm an optimist. Otherwise, scientists tend to be very critical. But I'm an optimist scientist. That's the reason I'm still in business. And I think that, but definitely the AI will changing. I'm very positive AI will changing, but it require some changes in the system to make it working. Otherwise, it's just a hope, another winter coming. I just afraid that right now AI is just a technology, and that technology is up to us how to use it. It's a very powerful technology. Human being, the political system, social system need to be smartly harvest this technology for our improvement.
Definitely, yeah. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to add for our audience? Anything you might want to add at this time?
Not really. I just maybe I would say, although AI is hype, don't oversold by the idea. Human intelligence still very complex. We still haven't figured out how we work.
Yes.
AI right now is very good in automations. It basically very smarter automation, and smarter in the sense that we feel they are working. But the current AI approach, I tend to think cannot scale. The reason is right now we use the whole world data, a massive amount of the computer power to get something out a toddler can understand.
Yes.
I don't think a human being learn that way. That's very inefficient. I'm waiting for the next wave of AI that's adding some more intelligence into it. In the meantime, I think it's a very good tool for us human, using human intelligence to make it to a benefit for all mankind.
Yes, thank you. I think the Sam Altman was announcing that the ChatGPT 5 is going to be, I think, rolled out soon. So, and then he said it's gonna be like much more potent, and they made a lot of improvements. So let's see what it brings.
Yeah, but if you understand, ChatGPT is almost like a glorified statistic, right? It's a very powerful statistics. They have no cognitive power, right? It's almost a philosophy is maybe a side issue is that there is something called competence, based comprehension. We went to years of school to comprehend something to a specialty area. So we try to understand, and then we apply this comprehension to do certain work to become competent profession.
Yes.
Right? But this is another philosophy, is you probably don't need to know what you are doing. You just keep repeating doing the same work. And it looks like you comprehend the something. There's a called competent generate comprehension. So a lot of low-level automation factory work used to by human. They do day in, day out crunch out, become expert at a certain thing. And sounds like they know the process, comprehend the process. They don't. And eventually they got replaced by machines. And the machine doesn't understand either. The machine just can do the job competence.
Yes.
That particular repeated job competently. So I think the competence, right now, a lot of AI today, they are rather competent in certain area, but they don't comprehend what they are doing. Is we human beings understand what they are doing.
Exactly.
So I just want to be careful the distinction on this part.
Definitely. Thank you again for bringing that up, because actually my latest video was about that, like what makes us human, right? And one of the things that I highlighted in that video was about our self-awareness, right? It's not like we learn, but we can reflect on our own existence, our thoughts, our connection with ourselves and with the rest of the universe. I think those are going to be always human qualities, and thank you for highlighting that too. Thank you so much for your time again, and we appreciate what you do. We appreciate all the wisdom and expertise you bring, and we look forward to your projects in the future and all the good news that is going to come through your work and studies. And we're wishing you the best. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for the time. I enjoy talking to you, and also really enjoy the support of our hospital and also the community here.
Yes.
That makes a lot of difference.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.